Okay, so once again, good day everyone. So our topic for today is about research basic, no? So of course, one of your requirements in this course, of course, is to develop your own chapter 1 to 3. So again, research is a very general term for an activity that involves finding out in a more or less systematic way things you did not know. So a more academic interpretation is that research involves finding out about things that no one else knew either. It is about advancing the frontiers of knowledge. No, so research methods are the techniques you use to do research. So they represent the tools of the trade and provide you with ways to collect, sort, and analyze information so that you can come up to some conclusion. So if you use the right sort of methods for your particular type of research, then you should be able to convince other people that your conclusion have some validity, which is too important. And that the new knowledge you have created is soundly based. So it would be really boring to learn about all these tools without being able to try them out. So like reading about how to use a plane, chisel, drill, and others. So and never using them to make something out of a piece of wood. Now, therefore, courses in research methods are commonly linked to assignments that requires these methods to be applied, no, an actual research project that uh, described in a thesis or a research report. In the workplace, it is often the other way around. So when there is a perception that more information and understanding is needed to advance the work or process of work, then ways are sought how research can be carried out to meet these needs. No, being a researcher, no, uh, being a researcher is as much about doing a practical job as being academically competent. No, identifying a subject to research, finding and collecting information, and analyzing it, present you with a range of practical problems that need to be solved. Over hundreds of years, techniques or methods have been evolved to provide solutions to this problem. So the practice of research is closely bound up with the theoretical development that were promoted by philosophers and thinkers and practitioners in the sciences. Now, right back to the ancient Greeks. So the debate about knowledge and how we acquire it is rooted by philosophical thought. Okay, so for us to discuss the topic, let us all welcome our first presenter. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so good afternoon, classmates. Good afternoon. So today I'm gonna discuss the research basis. So first, what is research? The word research is very general terms for an activity that involves finding out in a more or less systematic ways things you didn't know. So uh, the more academic interpretation of the research involve finding out about things that we no one else know either. It is about advancing the process of knowledge. Also, the main motivations in basic research is to expand man knowledge. It deals with questions that intellectually interesting and challenging to the investigators. It focuses in refuting or supporting theories that operate in our changing society. So yung sample of na mga research natin, like How did the universe begin? Yan isa sa samples ng research. Usually. Okay, that's the meaning of research. So let's move on sa type of research. This type of research is methodology. Type of research from the point of application. So we have pure research and applied research. The second one is the objectives, and under this is descriptive research, exploratory research, correlational research, at saka explanatory research. Our third one is the type of information search or inquiry mode. We have two, the quantitative research and the qualitative research. So let's discuss the type of research for the point of view of application. So we have pure research. Pure research is the how does it work. Yan yung mga tanong na what is this and how does it work. Basic research, also called pure research or fundamental research, conducted to know more than about a particular subject, phenomenon, process, and current condition. So we have sample, Boyle's law, tsaka Charles' law, tapos Newton law of motion, tsaka evaluation of man, at tsaka yung Big Bang theory po. So second, under applications is the applied research. Applied research is answered specifically questions aimed at solving practice problems. This type of research involves seeking new application of scientific knowledge to the solution of problems, such as a development of a new system problems, new device, or new methods in order to solve the problems. Yung sample po nito is improving agricultural crop production, and second is find cure vaccine for COVID-19. Let's move na po sa second type of research for the viewpoint of objectives. First one is descriptive research, a research method that describes a characteristic of a population or phenomenon studied. Primarily focused on describing the nature of a demographic segment, focusing more on the what of the research subject. So yung example ko po nito is yung what is the level of satisfaction of the customers, and another one, what is the behavior of the student in an online class. So what have noticed on this example po, this question will be given as a description on the characteristic of the populations under study. Let me stress that descriptive research cannot describe what cause of situation. It can be used for causal relationship where are variable aspect another. So in another word, it's described the subject of the research without covering why it happened. So the second one is exploratory research. This type of research usually conducted of study and problem that not been clearly defined yet, conducted in order to determine the nature of the problem. So, yung example ko po nito, study to the role of Study of to the role of the social networking site at effective marketing, communication channel, at saka an investigation into the way of improvement of quality and customers service with hospitality sections in London, Ars. Yun po yung study ng exploratory in business studies. Let's move naman po sa correlation research refers to a non-experimental research method which studied the relationship between the variable with the help of statistical analysis. So yung for example po nito, yung positive correlation, example is the real life. Like for example po yung the more you spend running on the treadmill, the more calories you will burn. And another one, the more money you save, the more financially secured you feel. And the last one, under objectives for explanatory research, it is the actual type of research with focus on explaining the aspect of your study in detailed manners. It explain why things happen po. So example po nito is things if an animal shelter tries to find out their cities tend to So let's move na po sa last type of research which is the type of information source inquiry mode. So first one is a quantitative, is used to quantify the problems by way of generating numerical data or data that can transform into a usable statistic. Yung sample po dito is the survey po. And last one po under na qualitative research method would be structured interview which generates qualitative data through the use of open questions. Yung example po dito, sounds record, videos, tsaka po yung mga photographs po. Let's move na po tayo sa basic operation research. We have three po. First one is the data collection. Dito, from the word collection, dito nag-gather ka and may measure ka ng mga information. So for example po dito, yung phone survey and online survey po. Second one is data analysis. Dito, sinasummarize mo na yung na-collect mong data. Then, last one is a report reading. Is a written account of something that one has observed, heard, done investigation. So, yung sample po natin dito, yung psychological report po. So, let's move po sa basic research method. So, one is interview. Second is the observation. Third is the experiment. And last one is questioning. Then we have din po the goal of research. The first one is explorations, descriptions, explanations, prediction. And what can we do with research? So first, categorize. Second, describe. Third one is explain. Fourth one, evaluate. Then compare, correlate, predict, and control. Then here's po the reference na pinagkuhanan ko ng report ko.
Okay, so in addition with our presenter discussion, again, it is important for us to understand the basic. Again, I know that this will be discussed during your undergraduate program, no? But of course, that is way back how many years ago, no? Okay, so what you can do with research, no? So what can we use research to do in order to gain this new knowledge? Some of the ways it can be used, one, to categorize, no? So this involves forming a typology of objects, events, or concepts. So this will be a set of names or boxes into which this can be sorted. This can be useful in explaining which things belong together and how. Another is describe, no? This will be the descriptive research, no? It relies on observation as a means of collecting data. That is descriptive research. It attempts to examine a situation in order to establish what is the norm, what can be predicted to happen again under the same circumstances. We have also explained, no? And this is descriptive type of research is specifically designed to deal with complex issues, no? So it aims to move beyond just getting the facts. So in order to make sense of the myriad other elements involved, such as human, political, social, cultural, and contextual. We have also evaluate. And this involves making judgments about the quality of objects or events. So quality can be measured either in an absolute sense or on a comparative basis. So to be useful, the methods of evaluation must be relevant to the context and intentions of the research. We have also compared, no? Two or more contrasting cases can be examined to highlight differences and similarities between them, leading to a better understanding of a phenomena. This comparison, no? Another is correlate, no? The relationship between two phenomena are investigated to see whether and how they influence each other. So the relationship might be just a loose link at one extreme or a direct link when one phenomenon cases or causes another. There are measured as levels of association. Another is predict, no? This can sometimes be done in research areas where correlations are already known. So predictions of possible future behavior or events are made on the basis that if there has been a strong relationship between two or more characteristics or events in the past, then this should exist in similar circumstances in the future, leading to predictable outcomes. And of course, the control. So once you understand an event or situation, you may be able to find ways to control it. For this, you need to know what the cause and effect relationship are and that you are capable or exerting control over the vital ingredients. All of technology relies on this ability to control. And actually, you can combine two or more of these objectives in a research project, with sometimes one objective needing to be successfully achieved before starting the next. So let's say, for example, you usually need to be able to explain how something happens before you can work out how to control it. Okay? Now, a while ago, our presenter discussed or mentioned about the research design. Of course, yes, no, there are numerous types of research design that are appropriate for the different types of research project. So the choice of which design to apply depends on the nature of the problems posed by the research aims or objectives. Each type of research design has a range of research methods that are commonly used to collect and analyze the type of data that is generated by the investigations. No? And of course, there are a list of some of the more commonly researched design. Number one, of course, is the historical, no? As our presenter mentioned, no? The aims at a systematic and objective evaluation and synthesis of evidence in order to establish facts and draw conclusion about past events. That is historical. It uses primarily wait, accept ko lang to. Okay, so It uses primarily historical data such as archaeological remains as well as documentary sources of the past. It is usually necessary to carry out tests in order to check the authenticity of these sources. So apart from informing us about what happened in previous times and re-evaluating beliefs about the past, historical research can be used to find contemporary solutions based on the past and to inform present and future trends. It stresses the importance of interactions in their effects. Okay, so that is historical research. Another is the descriptive research. No? So, descriptive design relies on observation. Kasi it's too easy for us to determine. Okay, so may during the writing of your methodology, maybe you're asking, ano bang research ko? Descriptive, correlation, historical. Okay, so when we say historical, it relies on observation as means of collecting data. No, it attempts to examine situation in order to establish what is the norm. Let's say what can be predicted to happen again under the same circumstances. No, observation can take many forms depending on the type of information sought. People can be interviewed, questionnaires distributed, visual records made, even sounds and smells recorded. Important is that the observations are written down or recorded in some way in order that they can be subsequently analyzed. The scale of the research is influenced by two major factors, no? The level of complexity of the survey and the scope or extent of the survey. Okay? Another design is the correlation. So the correlation design is used to examine a relationship between two concepts. There are two broad classifications of relational statements. An association between two concepts where there is some kind of influence of one on the other, and a causal relationship where one causes changes to occur in the other. So causal statement describe what is sometimes called a cause and effect relationship. The cause is referred to as the independent variable. The variable that is affected is referred to as a dependent variable. Dito tayo nalilito, no? Again, the cause is referred to as an independent variable. Yung cause, independent yon. And the variable that is affected is referred to as a dependent variable. Again, the correlation between two concepts are either be none, yun yung tinatawag natin na no correlation, pwedeng positive, where an increase in one result in the increase in the other, or decrease result in a decrease, or negative, where the increase in one result in the decrease in the other, or vice versa. The degree of association is often measurable. Okay? Another research design, of course, is the comparative. Okay? And this design is used to compare past and present or different parallel situations, particularly when the researcher has no control over events. It can look at situation at different scales, either macro, no, yung international, national, or micro, within the community only, individual. Di ba? Minsan, paano ba kukuha ng respondents for the entire national capital region, or is just within the Caloocan area or Valenzuela area? So pag sinabi nating national within the Philippines, that is national, no? Pero pag sinabi natin na within the community, that is micro, no? Pag international, national, macro. Again, analogy is used to identify similarities in order to predict results, no? Assuming that if two events are similar in certain characteristics, they could well be similar in others too. In this way, comparative design is used to explore and test what conditions were necessary to cause certain events so that it is possible, for example, to understand the likely effects of making certain decisions. The next design is the experimental. Lagi natin nakikita, quasi-experimental. No? Experimental type of research design and so on. No? Experimental research attempts to isolate and control every relevant conditions which determines the events investigated, and then observe the effects when the conditions are manipulated. At its simplest, changes are made to an independent variable and the effects are observed on a dependent variable. So example, no? Cause and effects. Although experiments design can be done to explore a particular event, they usually require a hypothesis, yung prediction, to be formulated first in order to determine what variables are to be tested and how they can be controlled and measured. And there are several classes of experiment. We have pre-true, we have quasi-experimental, and others, which are characterized by the amount of checking and control involved in the methods. Another research design is the evaluation, the simulation rather. Simulation. So simulation involves devising a representation, a small and simplified form. Yung may model tayo of a system, which can be manipulated to gauge effects. No? It is similar to experimental design in the respect of this manipulation. No? But it provides a more artificial environment and that it does work with original material at the same scale. Models can be mathematical, no? number crunching in the computer, or physical, no? Working with 2 or 3 dimensional materials. So the performance of the model must be checked and calibrated against the real system to check that the results are reliable. So again, simulation enables theoretical situation to be tested. Ito yung what if. Okay? So yun yung pag sinabi natin na simulation, ang natin lang yung what if. Okay? Another research design is the evaluation, no? So this descriptive type of research is specifically designed to deal with complex social issues. So it aims to move beyond just getting the facts by trying to make sense of the myriad human, political, social, cultural, and contextual elements involved. There are a range of different approaches of evaluation models. Let's say, for example, system analysis, no, which is the holistic type of research looking at the complex interplay of many variables, and responsive evaluation, which entails a series of investigative steps to evaluate how responsive a program is to all those taking part in it. So a common purpose of evaluation research is to examine the working of projects from the point of view of levels of awareness, cost and benefits, cost effectiveness, attainment of the objectives, and quality assurance. And the results are generally used to prescribe changes to improve and develop the situation. Let's say, for example, ang proposal mo related sa, you just want to evaluate the workability of Filipino people in this time of pandemic, a basis for a strategic plan. Meron tayong looking forward with the result, no, for us to improve and to develop a proposal, na that is evaluative or evaluation. Another is action, no, research design action, no. Essentially, this is an on-the-spot procedure principally designed to deal with a specific problem found in a particular situation. No, there is no attempt made to separate the problem from its context in order to study it in isolation. What are thought to be useful changes are made, and then constant monitoring and evaluation are carried out to see the effects of the changes. And the conclusions from the findings are applied immediately and further monitored to gauge their effectiveness. Action research depends mainly on observation and behavioral data because it is so bound up in a particular situation. It is difficult to generalize the results. Example is to be confident that the action will be successful in another context. No? We have also ethnological research design. No? So ethnological research focuses on people. So in this approach, the researcher is interested in how the subjects of the research interpret their own behavior rather than imposing a theory from outside. So it takes place in the undisturbed natural setting of the subject's environment. So it regards the context to be as equally important as the action it studies, and attempts to represent the totality of the social, cultural, and economic situation. This is not easy, as much of culture is hidden, of course, and rarely made explicit in the cultural background and assumptions of the researcher may unduly influence the interpretations and descriptions. Moreover, there can be confusions produced by the use of language and the different meanings which may be given to words by the respondents and researcher. Another, of course, the feminist. This is more of a perspective than a research design that involves theory and analysis that highlight the differences between men's and women's lives. Researchers who ignore these differences can come to incorrect conclusion. However, everyone is male or female, so value neutrality is impossible as no researcher practices research outside his or her system of values. No specific methods are seen to be particularly feminist, but the methodology used is informed by theories of gender relations. Although feminist research is undertaken with a political commitment to identify and transform gender relations, it is not uniquely political but exposes all methods of social research as being political. Let's say, if you wanted to compare the time of Madam Gloria Arroyo to President Duterte, so sometimes we may consider the gender, the feminist, or let's say you are now working in a company. Previously you have an immediate head, a male immediate head, then this time you have a female immediate head. Okay, so and you just try to find out on how he or she could able to handle this department and so on. Okay, another is the cultural. Many of the prevailing theoretical debates, ito yung postmodernism, post-culturalism, are concerned with the subject of language and cultural interpretation. Cultural research provides methodologies that allows a consistent analysis of cultural text so that they can be compared, replicated, disproved, and generalized. Example of approaches to the interpretation of cultural texts are content analysis, semiotics, and discourse analysis. The meaning of the term cultural text has been broadened from that of purely literary works of that of the many different forms of communication, both formal such as opera, TV news programs, cocktail practice, and others, and informal such as how people dress or converse. So, deciding on your type of research, kasi parang, ano bang types of research ang gagamitin ko? Ano ba yung applicable sa study ko? It is your research interest that decide the nature of your research problem. And this will indicate the appropriate type of research to follow. Once the objective of a research project has been established, the issues of how these objectives can be met leads to a consideration of which research design should be chosen. The research design provides a framework for the collection and analysis of data and subsequently indicates which research methods are appropriate. You can combine two or more types of research design, particularly when your subject combines the study of human behavior with that of, for example, economics, technology, legislation, or organization. So the different type of research design may involve the use of their own specific types of research methods, developed specifically to solve the problems inherent in the design. However, some methods are widely used across many research types. So, where to find out more? Apart from continuing to, actually, there are other introduction to research that you may wish to check out, and again, it's better for you to create or to do your research based on your expertise, para mas easy for you to work on with your topic. So I think that's it for this research basics.